Hey guys, it's Theresa here from Cherish, Surestart, and as you can see from our Facebook and our wee arts and crafts clips and our stories, that this week we've been looking at emotions and feelings for wee children. So our wee arts and crafts activity was all around that, discussing about emotions, how your children are feeling throughout this time at home. So I suppose the one thing that we all have in common, with children as well and as adults, is that we're all emotional beings. So that's one thing we all have in common with kids too. So we can kind of relate to them too when we're feeling good and feeling great and things are going well for us, and then when we things aren't going so well, whether we're upset or stressed or anxious or worried, and how that comes out through our behaviour as well then, and the same for wee children as well. So I suppose one way that they express when they're trying to deal with strong emotions, you might say, I suppose it's quite common for a wee 2-year-old to be having lots of tantrums, which I'm sure are lots of fun. But it is just recognising too that those tantrums are really natural for children. There's a build-up of adrenaline in the body and the way that they can kind of release and regulate themselves. And you guys have been regulating your wee, since your children were wee babies, have been regulating, have been helping them soothe, teaching them how to self-soothe themselves as well, how they can turn over to sleep as they are a bit older, 1 years old and a 2 years old, but it's still very difficult for them to, they're only learning. And so that's why we help them. That's why we talk about emotional vocabulary. So we might want to talk to children too when they're feeling nice and lovely, and everything's going great. We might want to use a visual for them that it's like, oh, nice and cozy and warm feelings that we have, like when you're giving them snuggles and kisses at night time, that they feel nice and lovely, happy and cozy. So you might want to use some nice visuals, nice soft teddy bear, or you might want to use something else like a toy, like a prickly toy, and it might be another good visual to use if they're crying or upset, like, oh, that you seem sad, or that you seem upset, and how that actually feels to them, like the sensation is like something that's prickly and not very nice for them. So it might help them with their emotional vocabulary, and that's something that's really important, that's really going to ground them for not just only now, but also when they're starting to go to school, whenever that may be, when they're starting to communicate, whether it's with their friends or family or teachers, and right through to their adolescence, and their adulthood. So you're really building strong foundations to really help them with, as a life tool, as a source that's going to really guide them and help them in life, how we can regulate our emotions, and understand them, and then express them, how we communicate with them. So that's really kind of what we're looking at, how we can help them calm down. So we want to make sure about, firstly, their vocabulary. So we're giving them lots of words whenever they are upset or when they are feeling great as well. This isn't just about the uncomfortable feelings, as we call them. We also want to talk a lot about comfortable feelings. So when they're happy and excited, like, you seem really happy, or you seem really excited, or you seem really sad and down, or you sound. So we're not telling them how they feel, but we're really trying to kind of give them words to help them with identifying how they feel. So we look a wee bit too at how we help them calm down. And I suppose I would tend to, when they're feeling in good form, or when they're not in the middle of a tantrum, but when they're feeling good, I would be using some puppets. Is a really lovely way of expressing emotions and feelings, but also helping them with some breathing activities, because the breath is the anchor. So calming the body, once the body starts to get distressed, that's when our heart rate increases, our breathing gets very rapid, and the body starts kind of in that fight or flight mode, survival mode, and that's when those behaviours start to come out. So we really want to help them, like how we kind of regulate the breath, and if we teach them skills when they're nice and calm, that we can tap into them or guide them to those skills whenever you see that there's some, before they get to the tantrum or before they get to the behaviour, whether it's throwing a toy or fighting with their siblings, whatever it is. So I would be using like some nice visuals. I've got my monkey Chatty, who we use in Boogie Beats and lots of different programs. But we could talk about kind of whether there's lots of examples online too, of kind of meditations and visuals. So whether we've got a birthday cake and we're gonna breathe in, smelling the chocolate, and then we're gonna blow out the candles. So they're kind of really nice ones for children, give them some visuals and to help them slow down their breath. So breathing in through their nose and out through their mouth. Or also, this is a lovely wee one as well with this toy. Breathing in, so we could use like when we're bringing it out. And then breathing out as we bring it back in. Breathing in and breathing out. So it might be nice wee ones to think about as well, how we do that. And I suppose it's important to note too that we are the role models for children. So how actually in our nurturing programme, if you keep a wee eye out as well, that's what we kind of look at, about how we regulate our own feelings when we're faced with strong emotions or difficult challenges in our lives. How do we regulate our own emotions? And I suppose that children are kind of role modelling off us. So if we're kind of getting angry or getting upset, and maybe shouting, then kids are kind of observing that as well, and then they kind of feel that that's how they might express that emotion whenever they get upset. So it's important too to think, how do we calm ourselves down, which is really normal. It's a really normal emotion. If we're angry, that's a very strong emotion, but it is important to think about what things that we need to do then to regulate ourselves, and then in turn equips us then to kind of help with our children's emotions. And I'm sure you know yourself from experience, when you're having a great day and things are going good, we can cope very well with the challenges of day-to-day life, or with children we cope a lot better. But it's a wee bit harder in the days that are a bit of a struggle, or that things are maybe going wrong, and we might find ourselves being a bit more short-tempered, or shouting more, or finding it a bit harder. So thinking about role modelling, and praise is another great strategy to use with children. Kind of, I suppose, anything that we give our attention to is what we get more of. So that's really important to think about. The more you give attention to something, the more you get more of it. So thinking about when we're praising, children are feeling good, because all children want our attention. That's all they really want, isn't it? When you always find when you go pick up the phone or you're chatting to someone, they mightn't bother you beforehand, but as soon as your kind of attention has gone on to something else, the children are at your feet or wanting your attention. So thinking about what are the things that we're giving children attention for. So praise is a beautiful one, really trying to find those wee small things to praise them. And it's good to remember that kind of underneath all behaviour is a feeling. There's always a feeling. So whether your children are whining or lashing out at their siblings, maybe they're just feeling left out or feeling excluded, feeling lonely, or sometimes you'll find in the evening times when they start to get tired, that's when you maybe notice that their behaviour, they start to play up a bit. So it's always mindful to have that kind of empathetic mind, tuning into how they're actually really feeling, as opposed to us reacting to their behaviour, which is quite, I suppose it's easy to do as well, especially under these circumstances. So we've got a nice wee book. It's called The Huge Bag of Worries, and that might be a really nice thing to read to children as well, which talks about the worries that some children might have. So we'll maybe finish off with reading the story, and yeah, see how we get on. So, Huge Bag of Worries. Jenny had always been happy. She had a lovely mum and dad, a great brother, well, most of the time. She had a best friend at school and she liked her teacher. And then, of course, there was Loftus. Woof, woof, woof. But recently, she had been getting gloomier and gloomier. It wasn't just one thing. It was everything. She worried that she was getting too big, that Loftus had fleas. She worried that her best friend was going away. She worried that she was getting bad marks at school. And she thought she heard somebody whispering about her in the playground. She worried when her mum and dad had an argument, and she even worried about wars and bombs. Until one day, she had a huge bag of worries. The bag followed her everywhere, to school, swimming, to the toilet, and it stuck by her even when she was watching TV. She tried ignoring it, but it didn't work. She tried throwing it away, whoosh, but it just came back. She tried to lock it out, but when she got back to her bedroom, there it was waiting for her. It was like a horrible shadow she couldn't get rid of. She asked her brother for help, but he was just too busy playing computer games, and all he said was, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any worries." After that, she didn't feel like asking anyone. She knew she'd only feel silly. Mum would probably say, "Sure, you've got no worries. Oh, you've the world at your feet. You're a lucky girl. You've got your health, your friends, your family. What more could you want?" So she decided not to tell anybody. Dad might know what to do, but then she thought again, no, Dad has enough worries of his own. She couldn't ask him. Every day it got worse and worse and worse, and bigger and bigger and bigger. She couldn't sleep because it kept tossing around at night time. To make matters worse, the bag dragged around her feet so much when she was walking to school that she was late and her teacher was cross. Jenny couldn't tell what had happened, and anyway, she knew what she'd say. "You've got too many worries. In the future, leave that bag at home." When Jenny told her best friend about the bag, she suggested locking it up in the cupboard and try not to think about it. "That's what I do," she said. Even Loftus, the dog, couldn't help. He tried his best and barked like mad, but the bag just stood there. One morning, Jenny woke up. She got dressed and walked down the road. She had just had enough. The tears started rolling down her face. She sat on the garden wall and put her head in her hands, and she thought she'd have to live with the big bag forever. Then she heard a voice, and looking up, she saw a kindly-faced old lady who lived next door. "Goodness," said the old lady. "What on earth is that huge bag of worries?" Through the tears, Jenny explained how it had followed her for weeks and weeks and weeks. Now, Let's just open it up and see what's inside, said the old lady. But Jenny said she couldn't. If she opened the bag, the worries would jump out. And who knew what might happen then? Nonsense, said the old lady firmly. There's nothing a worry doesn't like more than being seen. If you have any worries, however small, the secret is just to let them out slowly, one by one, and show them to somebody else. They'll soon go away. So Jenny opened the bag. The old lady sorted the worries out into groups. Jenny was astonished to see how small they looked when they were out in the open. Half the worries disappeared because lots of worries just hate the light of day. As for the rest, the old lady put some in the shopping bag to deal with herself. Some she sent packing because she said they belonged to other people. Some she just blew a kiss and sent them away. And some she said were worries that everybody had, even Jenny's family, her friends and her teacher. And as for the bag, boo! The end. So that's a nice wee book, maybe. Huge bag of worries. That we read in the nurturing program as well. So I suppose following that, like I say, keep a wee eye out. The nurturing program looks a lot at behaviours and emotions and strategies that we can maybe use that will be helpful. Until then, I hope you're all keeping well and safe, and talk to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.